to be amused. That was not the real Saddam, but he acted just like him. Michael Jackson is not dead. Michael Jackson doesn't look anything the way he did. The slim Michael Jackson, because they know that's what y'all like. The Michael Jackson that y'all saw dancing with James Brown, that was a clone. They had to keep fixing on it because the clone was breaking down. He wasn't going into surgeries. See, clones also can't gain weight. So basically what they did, they had to keep doctoring on the clone of Michael who was alive. The one that was dancing with Michael, or the dance with James Brown. Okay, that Michael Jackson, that wasn't the real Michael. When they cloned it, Michael, that clones don't grow hair. So in other words, however they clone you, whatever you have, that's how you're going to come out. That's just how the clone produce. So in other words, if you're a person that have long hair, however they clone you, that's how the clone gonna look. When they cloned Michael Jackson, his hair was never attached because the first Michael Jackson that was cloned, his head was in a third to fourth degree burn in Pepsi commercial. He lost half his head. I mean, it wasn't gone, but it was it was very badly burned. Michael Jackson looked like a monster. Okay, and he was still slim. So they cloned him while he was under the knife. And when they cloned him, they needed 2 years to remake him because he didn't look nothing like Michael Jackson. I don't know if y'all can peep game. So when they cloned him, they had to make him lighter and make up this skin disease because his skin didn't look the same. His body, they changed everything about him. In the end, when Michael was looking really, really bad, the clone body was breaking down because clones don't think like humans. Clones have to have people around them to tell them what they do because they get adolescence. They can't think properly. It's called handlers, right? So when Michael started to break down, his body was breaking down. His nose was artificial. I don't know if y'all noticed. Go back and Google Michael Jackson nose. It looks like a robot because it wasn't him. His whole head was a wig. It was a cap because when they first cloned Michael, he didn't have any hair. It all burnt off in the Pepsi commercial. They put Michael in a capsule and cloned it. Brought him back 2 years as the clone, and Michael Jackson was watching all of this like, I can't believe they're doing this. So what happened to Michael? He just lived his life. Michael Jackson is still alive. He's already appeared on TV, but y'all didn't even know who he was. Go back and watch the CNN of Larry King, the guy with the glasses, with the real bad burnt victim that played like Michael Jackson saved him when he was a kid. That's Michael Jackson. It burned him so bad it disfigured him. It tore up his skin. It did everything to him. You understand what I'm telling you? And also, after Michael was cloned, the real Michael Jackson, they bleached his skin so he would look nothing like Michael. If you look at the dude who was on Larry King telling you about his childhood, how Michael Jackson helped him, he looks just like Michael. Just look at his eyes. That's Michael Jackson. He's disfigured. That's how he looked when he got done with the Pepsi commercial.
Joining us now here in Los Angeles, Miko Brando, who was with us almost every night after this untimely passing, longtime Michael Jackson friend attending the funeral. And Dave, yes, that's his name, Dave. He was David Rothenberg. He was set on fire in 1983, suffered, as you can see, terrible scars. Michael Jackson befriended him and paid for a lot of his surgeries. Dave is also attending the burial. Why Dave?
Well, to liberate myself from the confines of my father's criminality.
He caused the fire?
Yeah. He is a criminal, and he caused all this. To free myself of his name and his legacy, I decided to become my own person through changing my name.
How did he find out about you, Dave?
He heard about me, and he had contacted me and wanted to meet me.
How old were you at the time?
I was about 7 years old at the time.
And were you in the hospital?
I was not in the hospital at the time. I was in interim back and forth from surgery.
And what did he do for you?
Well, basically, he befriended me. he took me into his life, which is very rare for Michael to do. But he opened up his arms to me and accepted me as a very good friend of his. And throughout the years, he never let me go.
Were you surprised, Dave, to hear from him when you were 7?
Oh, it's a very interesting story, Larry. It was the visit to his Encino house was very impromptu, and it was kept a secret by my mother. And I had always been kind of a admirer of his, not a fan per se, but I always loved his music. And my mother surprised me one day and brought me up to Neverland. And I entered an arcade, and there were all these Paul McCartney records all over this, The Girl Is Mine, and, this and that. And I remember sitting down, and at the time, my favorite video game was Pole Position. And I was playing Pole Position, and I felt a little tap on my shoulder, and I turned around, and there was Michael. And you know what, Larry? At that moment, we embraced, and that embrace never ended throughout our whole entire friendship.
Dave, what don't we know about him we should know?
Well, I believe what people fail to realize is that Michael was a human being. Throughout the years, I think he was kind of stigmatized by the media. And I believe that wasn't really helpful to him or to anybody around him. I believe that Michael was a great person. He has never hurt a soul. And I am happy to have been his friend for all these years and been a dedicated friend.
One artist who got that opportunity was Akon. A couple of years ago, Michael invited him to his studio in hopes of writing new music. What resulted was one of the most memorable moments of Akon's life.
Like, my favorite moments was the day we actually met, because I didn't expect him to be that cool. You know what I'm saying? I love movies. He was a moviegoer. He loves movies as well. And he was like, yo, man, I got to take you to this theater. This new technology they got is like 4D. Like, it feels like, the images are right in front of you, like you're actually in the mix of it. And I was like, nah, I know 3D. He's like, no, listen, you got to check this out. I said, well, let's go. And he paused for a minute. He's like, okay, let's do it tomorrow. And I'm saying to myself, okay, I don't know how we expect to go to the movies, but you know what I'm saying?
I don't know, man.